The shuttle landed, with a soft hum, on the metal platform. Kang Taeho stood up from his seat and grabbed his small bag. Through the window, he could see the massive buildings of the Galactic Union Military Academy stretching toward the pale blue sky. He had dreamed of this moment for 3 years. Now he was here, standing on a planet called Varus 4, millions of kilometers away from Earth. He was the first human ever accepted into this academy. Back on Earth, people had celebrated. News stations had called him a hero before he had done anything heroic. But Taeho did not feel like a hero. He felt nervous. He felt alone. The door of the shuttle opened, and he stepped outside. The air was thin and cool. It filled his lungs easily, almost too easily. He noticed right away that his body felt lighter here. Each step seemed to bounce a little. The gravity on this planet was weaker than Earth, much weaker. A tall creature with bright blue feathers and thin legs walked toward him. It was a Valorian. Taeho had studied all the species in the Galactic Union before coming here. Valorians were known for their speed and grace. They looked like birds that had learned to walk like humans. "You are the human," the Valorian said. It was not a question. The voice was high and sharp. "Yes," Taeho said. "I am Kang Taeho." The Valorian looked at him from head to toe. Its eyes were large and yellow. "I am Mirel. I will show you to your quarters. Try to keep up." Mirel turned and walked away quickly. Taeho followed. He wanted to run to catch up, but he controlled himself. He moved slowly and carefully. He did not want to show how easy it was to move in this weak gravity. He did not want to stand out. Not yet. The academy was huge. Taeho passed training halls, eating areas, and dozens of different species. Some were tall and thin. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some had no faces at all, just smooth surfaces with glowing spots where eyes should be. They all looked at Taeho as he walked by. He heard whispers in languages he did not understand. Mirel stopped in front of a door. "This is your room. Your bunkmate is inside. Training begins tomorrow at first light. Do not be late." She walked away without saying goodbye. Taeho opened the door and stepped inside. The room was small but clean. 2 beds, 2 desks, 1 window showing the purple mountains in the distance. On one of the beds sat a creature covered in green scales. It had a wide mouth and small black eyes. It looked like a lizard that had grown to the size of a man. When it saw Taeho, it stood up. "So you are the human," it said. Its voice was deep and rough. "I am Boric. I will be honest with you, human. I give you 1 week before you quit." Taeho put his bag on the empty bed. "Why do you think I will quit?" Boric laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. "Because humans are soft. Everyone knows this. Your species just discovered space travel. You come from a small planet in a forgotten corner of the galaxy. You have no claws, no scales, no armor. You are made of soft meat and thin bones." Taeho sat on his bed. "I will try my best." "Your best will not be enough," Boric said. "But do not worry. I will not be cruel to you. I save my cruelty for those who deserve it." The next morning, Taeho woke up early. He put on his cadet uniform and walked to the main hall for orientation. Hundreds of cadets from many different species filled the room. They sat in rows, facing a large stage. Taeho found a seat near the back. Next to him sat a human woman with short black hair. She turned to look at him with surprise. "Another human," she said quietly. "I thought I was the only one." "I am Kang Taeho," he said. "Park Yuna," she replied. "I arrived 2 cycles ago. I am also in Squad 12. She paused. "That is the lowest squad, the worst of the worst." "Why?" Yuna smiled, but there was no happiness in it. "Because they do not respect us. They think humans are weak. They put all the weak ones together. Before Taeho could respond, a loud clicking sound filled the hall. Everyone went silent. On the stage stood a creature that looked like a giant insect. It had 6 legs, 2 arms, and large eyes that reflected the light like black mirrors. This was Commander Relis, the leader of the academy. "Welcome, cadets," Commander Relis said. His voice was cold and sharp. "You are here because you are the best your species has to offer. You are here to become soldiers of the Galactic Union. Some of you will succeed. Many of you will fail. That is the nature of war. The strong survive." Taeho listened carefully. He noticed that the air in the hall felt comfortable for most species. The temperature was cool. The gravity was light. Everything was designed for creatures who could not handle harsh conditions. Commander Relis continued, "You will train together. You will fight together. You will learn that the Union is stronger than any single species. Alone, you are nothing. Together, you are an army." After the orientation, Yuna walked with Taeho toward the training area. "Listen to me," she said quietly. "Keep your head down. Do not show off. Do not make enemies. We are outnumbered here, and they are looking for reasons to hate us." "Why would they hate us?" Taeho asked. "Because we are new," Yuna said. "Because we are different. Because they do not understand us." She looked at him with serious eyes. "Humans are a mystery to them. They do not know what we can do. And I think it is better if we keep it that way. For now." Taeho nodded. He understood what she meant. On the shuttle ride here, he had read reports about how other species viewed humans. They thought Earth was a primitive planet. They thought humans were fragile creatures who got lucky with technology. They had no idea what it really meant to grow up on Earth. Earth was not a gentle place. It had hot deserts and frozen mountains. It had storms that could destroy cities. It had predators with sharp teeth and strong claws. And most importantly, it had gravity. Strong gravity. The kind of gravity that made your bones thick and your muscles hard. Here on Varus 4, Taeho felt like he was floating. Every movement was easy. Every step was light. But he kept this secret to himself. He moved slowly. He acted tired. He pretended to struggle. Because Yuna was right. They did not know what humans could do, and sometimes the best weapon was the one nobody expected. 2 weeks passed at the academy. Every day was the same. Wake up early, train, eat, train more, sleep, repeat. Taeho followed the routine without complaint. He did everything he was told. He never spoke back to the instructors. He never showed off. But Squad 12 was struggling. They ranked last in every test. Last in running. Last in combat drills. Last in strategy games. The other squads laughed at them. They called Squad 12 the broken squad and the reject pile. Morel the Valorian was the worst. Every time she saw Taeho or Yuna, she had something cruel to say. "Look at the soft humans," she would say to her friends. "So slow, so weak. I wonder if they will cry when they fail." Taeho ignored her. Yuna told him that was the best way. "She wants a reaction," Yuna said. "Do not give her one." But it was hard. Taeho was not used to being called weak. Back on Earth, he had worked on his family's farm since he was a child. He had carried heavy bags of rice. He had pushed broken machines. He had worked under the hot sun until his muscles burned. He was not weak. He had never been weak. Still, he stayed quiet. He followed the plan. He pretended. On the 15th day, all the squads were brought to the strength conditioning hall. It was a large room filled with metal blocks of different sizes. These were resistance blocks, used to test physical strength. Each block was calibrated to match a specific weight based on a species' natural ability. Commander Relis stood at the front of the room. "Today you will be tested," he said. "Each of you will lift a resistance block set to 1.5 times your species' baseline strength. This is not easy. It is designed to push you to your limit. Some of you will succeed, some of you will fail. We will see who is strong and who is not. The cadets lined up by squad. Squad 1 went first. They were mostly large creatures with thick arms and wide bodies. They lifted their blocks with effort, but success. The room clapped for them. Then Squad 2. Then Squad 3. One by one the squads completed the test. Some cadets struggled. A few dropped their blocks early, but most succeeded. Finally, it was Squad 12's turn. The other squads watched with amusement. Boric went first. He grabbed his block and lifted it with a loud grunt. His arms shook, but he held it for the required time. He dropped it with a heavy breath. Not bad for a lizard, someone said. A few cadets laughed. Next was Kess, the small amphibian. Her block was lighter because of her size. She lifted it with great difficulty, her thin arms trembling, but she did it. She dropped the block and stepped back, breathing hard. Then Park Yuna stepped forward. The room grew quiet. Everyone wanted to see how the human would perform. Yuna stood in front of her block. It had been calibrated for human baseline, which the galactic computers had estimated to be quite low. About 50 kilograms of simulated resistance, set to feel like 75. She bent down and grabbed the handles. She pulled. Her arms shook. Her face turned red. Slowly, painfully, she lifted the block off the ground. She held it for 5 seconds. Then 10. Her whole body was shaking. Finally, she set it down and stepped back. The room was silent for a moment. Then someone clapped. It was Boric. Others joined. It was not loud applause, but it was respect. The human had lifted the weight. Miro made a clicking sound with her beak. Barely, she said. The human barely lifted it. That is nothing to celebrate. Yuna said nothing. She just walked back to her squad and stood next to Tejo. Your turn, she whispered. Tejo walked forward. He could feel every eye in the room on him. The Valorians, the reptiles, the insectoids. They were all watching, waiting, expecting him to fail. He looked at the block. It was the same weight Yuna had lifted. 50 kilograms, calibrated to feel like 75. On Earth, Tejo had lifted heavier things every day. Bags of grain that weighed 100 kilograms. Machine parts that took 2 normal men to carry. He had done this since he was 12 years old. He bent down and grabbed the handle with one hand. The room became very still. Tejo lifted the block. It rose smoothly into the air. He held it at his side like it was nothing. Like it was empty. His arm did not shake. His face showed no effort. He just stood there, holding a weight that had made Yuna's whole body tremble, with one hand. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The silence was so deep that Tejo could hear his own heartbeat. Commander Relis stepped forward. His black eyes reflected the light. Cadet Kang, he said slowly, explain. Tejo lowered the block gently to the ground. He stood straight and faced the commander. I grew up on a farm, Commander, he said. His voice was calm. On Earth, we do not have machines for everything. We use our hands. We carry things. The weight is calibrated for human baseline, Relis said. You lifted it with one hand. Yes, Commander. How? Tejo paused. He looked around the room at all the faces staring at him. Morel's feathers were pressed flat against her body. Boric's mouth hung open. Even Yuna looked surprised, even though she knew the truth. Earth has strong gravity, Tejo said simply, stronger than most planets in the Union. Our bodies are built for it. Our bones are thick. Our muscles are dense. What feels heavy to others feels light to us. The room exploded with whispers. Cadets talked to each other in a dozen different languages. Some looked scared. Some looked angry. Some looked confused. Commander Relis raised one of his arms, and the room went quiet again. Cadet Kang, he said, are you saying that your species has been hiding its true strength? Tejo shook his head. Not hiding, Commander. Just not showing. Nobody asked. Relis stared at him for a long moment. Then he made a sound that might have been a laugh. Interesting, he said. Very interesting. He turned to face the other cadets. Let this be a lesson to all of you. Never assume you know everything about another species. The galaxy is full of surprises. He looked back at Teho. Return to your squad, Cadet Kang. Teho walked back to Squad 12. As he passed Myrelle, she stepped away from him. Her large yellow eyes were wide with something new. Something she had never felt toward a human before. Fear. Boric grabbed Teho's arm when he returned. You could have told me, he said. All this time I thought you were weak. I thought you were soft. But you are not, are you? Teho shrugged. I did not want to cause trouble. Yuna moved closer. Too late for that, she said quietly. Everyone knows now. Everything changes from here. She was right. Teho could feel the shift in the room. The way cadets looked at him was different now. They no longer saw a fragile creature from a primitive planet. They saw something else. Something they did not fully understand. Something that scared them. The news spread through the academy like fire. Within hours, everyone knew about the human who lifted the weight with one hand. Cadets whispered in hallways. Instructors discussed it in private meetings. Even the kitchen workers talked about it while they prepared meals. Teho noticed the change immediately. When he walked through the corridors, other cadets moved out of his way. They did not push past him like before. They did not bump into him on purpose. They stepped aside and watched him pass with careful eyes. Some looked curious. Some looked impressed. But many looked afraid. Boric stayed close to Teho now. The big reptile had become something like a friend over the past 2 weeks. But even Boric kept a little more distance than before. One evening, Boric sat on his bed and looked at Teho with serious eyes. I need to ask you something, he said. During our sparring sessions, when we practiced fighting, you always let me win. Teho did not answer. You could have hurt me, Boric continued. Really hurt me. You could have broken my arms, my legs, but you held back. Why? Teho sat on his own bed. Why would I hurt you? You are my bunkmate. We are on the same squad. But I was cruel to you, Boric said. I called you weak. I made fun of you. Words do not hurt me, Teho said. And you are not really cruel. You are just wrong. Boric was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed. It was a strange laugh, half amused and half nervous. Humans are strange creatures, he said. I think I understand now why the Union was so slow to make contact with your world. You are dangerous in ways we did not expect. The next day, Teho was called to the medical center. A doctor wanted to examine him. The doctor was a Valorian named Saris, older than Myrelle, with gray feathers around her eyes. Her voice was gentle but professional. I want to run some tests. Nothing painful, just measurements. Teho sat on the examination table. Saris used various machines to scan his body. She measured his bone density, his muscle mass, his heart rate, his lung capacity. With each measurement, her eyes grew wider. This is remarkable, she said. Your bones are nearly 3 times denser than the galactic average. Your muscles contain twice the fiber density of most species. Your heart pumps blood at a rate that would kill a Valorian. Is that bad? Teho asked. No, Saris said slowly. It is not bad. It is extraordinary. She put down her scanner. I have read the old reports about Earth. They were filed away and forgotten because no one thought they were important. But now I understand why your planet was classified as a death world. Death world? Saris nodded. The Galactic Union has a classification system for planets. Most planets, where life exists, are Class 1 or Class 2. Gentle climates, stable conditions, easy places to live. Earth is Class 4. That means it is a world of extreme conditions, a place where life must fight to survive. She pulled up a screen showing information about Earth. High gravity, extreme temperature ranges, violent weather patterns, an atmosphere rich in oxygen which makes fire spread quickly, predators with sharp teeth and claws, poisonous plants and animals, earthquakes, volcanoes, floods. She looked at Teho. Your species evolved to survive all of this. Your bodies were built for war against your own planet. Teho had never thought of it that way. To him, Earth was just home. Yes, it was hard sometimes. Yes, there were dangers. But it was normal. It was all he knew. Why was this information hidden? He asked. Saris sighed. Not hidden, just ignored. When humans first made contact with the Union, you were seen as primitive. A young species. Harmless. The reports about your planet were filed away. Nobody read them. Nobody cared. She paused. Until now. That afternoon, everything became public. The Union Science Division released a full report about humans and Earth. It spread across the Academy's communication network. Every cadet could read it. The report explained everything. Earth's gravity, Earth's climate, Earth's history of war and survival. It described humans as persistent predators who could chase prey for hours without stopping. It mentioned that humans could survive injuries that would kill other species. It noted that humans had built civilizations in deserts, frozen wastelands, and jungle forests. By dinner time, Squad 12 had become the most talked-about squad in the Academy. But not because they were the worst anymore, because they had the humans. Morel found Teho in the eating hall. She approached him slowly, her feathers flat against her body. She looked smaller than usual. Cadet Kang, she said. Her voice was quiet. I need to speak with you. Teho looked up from his food. Yes? Morel struggled to find words. I said things, cruel things, about you and Cadet Park. I called you weak. I called you soft. I made jokes at your expense. She paused. I was wrong. You were, Teho agreed. I understand now that you could have hurt me at any time. During training, during sparring. You are stronger than me. Much stronger. But you never. She stopped. I never hurt you, Teho finished. Why? Teho considered the question. On Earth, there was an old saying, the strongest people are often the gentlest, because they have nothing to prove. Because strength is not about hurting people, he said. It is about protecting them. Morel stared at him. Her large yellow eyes blinked several times. Then she bowed her head slightly, a gesture of respect among Valorians. I was wrong about your species, she said. I am sorry. She walked away before Teho could respond. Yuna sat down across from him with her food tray. Making friends? She asked. Maybe, Teho said. I'm not sure. Yuna smiled. The whole Academy is reading that report. Did you see the part about human endurance? They say we can run for days without stopping. They say we can survive losing 30% of our blood. They say we bond with animals that have sharp teeth and claws and keep them as pets. Teho nodded. They make us sound like monsters. No, Yuna said, they make us sound like survivors. She picked up her fork. For the first time since I arrived here, I do not feel ashamed to be human. I feel proud. Teho looked around the eating hall. Cadets from other tables were watching them, not with hatred, not with pity, with respect. For 2 weeks, he had hidden his strength. He had pretended to be less than he was. Now the truth was out. Everyone knew what humans could do. But Teho also knew something else. Being strong was only part of the story. What mattered was how you used that strength. Anyone could destroy. Anyone could hurt. The real test was building something, protecting something, being strong enough to be gentle. He finished his meal in silence, thinking about what tomorrow would bring. The attack came without warning. It was late at night. Most cadets were sleeping in their quarters. Taeho was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, when the alarm started. Red lights flashed through the room. A loud siren filled the air. Boric jumped out of bed, his scales standing up in alarm. "What is happening?" Before Taeho could answer, Commander Relis's voice came through the communication system. "All cadets, this is not a drill. The Academy is under attack. A hostile force has breached the eastern perimeter. All cadets must shelter in place. Do not leave your quarters. Do not engage the enemy. I repeat, do not engage." Taeho was already putting on his clothes. "We need to get to the training hall," he said. "That is where Squad 12 meets for emergencies." "Did you not hear the commander?" Boric asked. "He said to stay here. Our squad is scattered across 4 different buildings. If we do not gather them, they will be alone when the enemy comes." Boric hesitated. Then he grabbed his uniform. "You are crazy, human, but I am not letting you go alone." They ran through the corridors together. The emergency lights painted everything in red. Other cadets peeked out from their doors with frightened faces. Taeho ignored them. He had one goal: find his squad. They reached the training hall 5 minutes later. Yuna was already there, with Kes and 2 other squad members. Their faces showed relief when they saw Taeho. "I knew you would come," Yuna said. "What do we know about the attackers?" "Nothing yet," Taeho said. "The announcement said Eastern Perimeter. That is close to here." Kes, the small amphibian, was shaking. Her blue skin had turned pale. "I heard rumors," she said. "Some cadets were talking before the alarms. They said it is the Krenith Dominion." Boric hissed. "The Krenith? That is bad. Very bad." Taeho had read about the Krenith Dominion. They were a militaristic species who had refused to join the Galactic Union. They believed in conquest and strength through violence. They wore heavy armor and carried powerful weapons. They had fought wars against the Union for decades. "Why would they attack an academy?" Yuna asked. "We are just cadets." "Hostages," Boric said grimly. "The Krenith take prisoners. They use them as leverage against the Union. Young cadets from important species would be valuable to them." More squad members arrived. Myrel was among them. Her feathers were ruffled with fear, but she stood tall. "What is the plan?" she asked, looking directly at Taeho. Taeho was surprised. A few weeks ago, Myrel would never have asked him for leadership. Now, she waited for his answer. "We stay together," he said. "We barricade the doors. We wait for help." They pushed heavy training equipment against the main entrance. The metal blocks that had tested their strength now served as barriers. Squad 12 worked together, all differences forgotten. Valorians next to reptiles, amphibians next to insectoids, and 2 humans giving orders. 10 minutes passed, then 20. The sounds of fighting echoed from somewhere in the academy. Explosions, energy weapon blasts, screams, then footsteps, heavy footsteps coming closer. Everyone went silent. Taeho moved to the front of the group. Yuna joined him. They stood side by side, facing the barricaded door. "Stay behind us," Taeho said quietly to the others. "If they get past us, run. Find another way out. Do not try to fight them." "What are you going to do?" Myrel whispered. Taeho did not answer. He watched the door. The Krenith did not knock. They cut through the metal with plasma tools. The door glowed orange, then red, then white. Pieces of it fell away. Through the gap, Taeho could see armored figures, large, powerful, holding weapons that could kill with a single shot. The door collapsed. 4 Krenith soldiers stepped through the smoke. They were tall, at least 2 meters each. Their armor was black and covered in sharp edges. Their faces were hidden behind helmets with glowing red eyes. "Surrender," the lead Krenith said. His voice was deep and mechanical through his helmet. "Come quietly, and you will not be harmed. Resist, and you will die." Nobody moved. The cadets of Squad 12 pressed against the back wall, frozen with fear. Kes was crying silently. Even Boric looked terrified. Tejo stepped forward. "Leave," he said. "Leave now, and I will let you go." The Krennic soldiers looked at each other. Then they laughed. It was a horrible sound, like grinding metal. "A small creature threatens us," the leader said. "What are you? I do not recognize your species." "I am human," Tejo said. "This is your last warning." The leader raised his weapon. "Humans, I have heard of you. Soft, weak, primitive." He aimed at Tejo's chest. "You should have stayed on your little planet." He pulled the trigger. But Tejo was not there anymore. He had moved, faster than the Krennic expected, faster than anyone expected. He was beside the leader now, his hand on the weapon, pulling it away. The Krennic was strong. His armor made him stronger. But Tejo grew up under Earth's gravity. His muscles were made of denser stuff. His bones could handle forces that would break other creatures. He ripped the weapon from the Krennic's grip. The soldier stumbled back in shock. The other three Krennic raised their weapons. Yuna was already moving. She grabbed a training pole from the wall and swung it at the nearest soldier. The impact dented his armor and sent him crashing into his companion. Tejo threw the stolen weapon aside. He did not need it. He stepped toward the leader and hit him in the chest with his open palm. The blow sent the Krennic flying backward into the wall. His armor cracked from the impact. "How?" the leader gasped. "How are you this strong?" Tejo did not answer. He was already moving to the next soldier. The Krennic tried to fight back. They were trained warriors, elite soldiers, but they were fighting creatures from a death world, creatures whose bodies were built for survival against impossible odds. Yuna fought with speed and precision. She dodged attacks that should have killed her and struck back with devastating force. When one Krennic grabbed her arm, she twisted free and used his own momentum to throw him across the room. It was over in less than a minute. 4 Krennic soldiers lay on the ground. Some were unconscious. Some were groaning in pain. None of them were dead. He wanted to stop them, not kill them. Squad 12 stared in silence. Myril's beak hung open. Boric looked like he had forgotten how to breathe. Cass had stopped crying and was staring at Tejo with wide, amazed eyes. The sound of running footsteps came from outside. Tejo tensed, ready for more enemies. But it was Commander Relis and a squad of Academy guards. Relis stopped at the broken doorway. He looked at the fallen Krennic soldiers, then at Tejo and Yuna, standing among them without weapons, barely breathing hard. "Report," Relis said. His voice was unusually quiet. "4 enemies breached the training hall," Tejo said. "We stopped them." Relis was silent for a long moment. His black eyes moved from the humans to the Krennic and back again. "You were told to shelter in place," he said finally. "Yes, Commander." "You were told not to engage." "Yes, Commander." Then he shook his head slowly. "I will deal with your disobedience later. For now," he looked at the other cadets of Squad 12. "Is anyone injured?" "No, Commander," Myrelle said. Her voice was shaking. "They protected us." Relis looked at Tejo one more time. "Humans," he said softly. "What are you?" Tejo did not know how to answer, so he stayed silent and waited for whatever came next. 3 days after the attack, the Academy began returning to normal. The Krennic raiders had been captured. The damaged buildings were being repaired. Injured cadets were recovering in the medical center. Life continued. But nothing was really the same. Word of what happened in the training hall had spread across the entire Galactic Union. 2 human cadets, unarmed and untrained for real combat, had defeated 4 Krennic elite soldiers. The story was on every news channel. Military commanders discussed it in strategy meetings. Scientists wrote papers about human biology. Politicians debated what it meant for the future. Taeho tried to ignore all of it. He went to his classes. He ate his meals. He trained with his squad. But everywhere he went, people watched him. They whispered when he passed. They moved out of his way like he was something dangerous. One afternoon, Commander Relis called him to his office. The room was small and filled with strange objects from different worlds. Relis sat behind his desk, his black eyes fixed on Taeho. "Sit down, Cadet Kang," Relis said. Taeho sat. "I have been thinking about what to do with you," Relis continued. "You disobeyed a direct order. You left your quarters during an emergency. You engaged hostile forces when you were told not to." "Yes, Commander. These are serious violations. Normally, a cadet who did these things would be expelled." Relis paused. "But you also saved the lives of your entire squad, possibly more." Taeho said nothing. He waited. Relis leaned back in his chair. "I have spoken with the cadets who were in that room with you. Do you know what they told me?" "No, Commander. They told me that you stood in front of them when the Krenith came through the door. You did not run. You did not hide. You put yourself between them and the enemy." Relis made a soft clicking sound. "Cadet Myrel told me that you could have killed those soldiers easily, but you did not. You stopped them without taking their lives. Why?" Taeho thought about the question. "Killing was not necessary," he said. "They were stopped. They could not hurt anyone anymore. Why would I kill them after that?" Relis stared at him for a long moment. "You are young. You have never been to war. But I have. I have seen what happens when soldiers stop caring about the lives of their enemies. I have seen what cruelty does to the soul." He leaned forward. "What you did in that room was not just strength. It was control. It was mercy. Those are rare things." He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, cadets were training in the yard. "Your species frightens me, Cadet Kang," Relis said. "You are stronger than us. You are faster than us. You come from a world that would kill most creatures in the galaxy. You are built for survival in ways we cannot match." He turned to face Taeho. "But what frightens me more is what you could become if you chose to be cruel. If you decided that your strength made you superior." "I would never think that," Taeho said. "I know," Relis said. "That is why I am not expelling you. That is why I am promoting you." Taeho blinked. "Promoting me?" "Squad 12 needs a leader. Someone the other cadets can look up to. Someone who understands that true strength is not about power. It is about what you do with that power." Relis walked back to his desk and picked up a small metal pin. "Congratulations, Squad Leader Kang. Try not to embarrass me." The ceremony was held that evening. All the cadets gathered in the main hall. Taeho stood on the stage while Commander Relis pinned the leader insignia to his uniform. Yuna was promoted to second in command of Squad 12. The crowd applauded. After the ceremony, Squad 12 gathered around their new leaders. Boric was grinning, his wide mouth showing rows of small teeth. "Who would have thought," he said, "my bunkmate, leading the squad. Remember when I bet you would quit in a week?" "I remember," Taeho said. "I was an idiot," Boric laughed. "Now I have to take orders from you. The universe has a strange sense of humor." Kes the amphibian stood close to Yuna. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for protecting us. I was so scared. I could not move. I thought we were going to die." Yuna put a hand on her shoulder. "We protect our squad. That is what we do." Mirel approached Taeho. Her feathers were smooth and clean, carefully arranged in a pattern that meant respect in Valorian culture. She bowed her head low. "Squad Leader Kang," she said formally, "I was wrong about your kind. I was wrong about many things. I am sorry." She looked up at him. You have shown me what strength really means. It is not about hurting those weaker than you. It is about protecting them. Taeho nodded. You do not need to apologize. We all make mistakes. What matters is what we learn from them. Mirelle smiled. It was the first time Taeho had seen her smile at him. I hope I can learn to be more like you, she said, strong enough to be gentle. The next morning, something unusual happened. The Academy announced that the gravity settings would be adjusted for one day. Instead of the normal low gravity, they would be set to Earth standard, 1 full G. It is a gesture of respect, Commander Relis explained during the morning announcement, to honor our human cadets and to help other species understand what they have overcome. Taeho felt the change immediately. His steps felt normal. His body felt balanced. For the first time since arriving at the Academy, he did not have to hold back. He did not have to move slowly. He could just be himself. But for everyone else, it was a disaster. Boric could barely walk. His legs shook with every step. This is insane, he gasped. How do you live like this? I feel like the planet is trying to crush me. Mirelle was worse. Her thin legs could barely support her weight. She had to sit down after just a few meters of walking. Everything is so heavy, she said. My own body is too heavy. Cass could not stand at all. She stayed on a special floating chair that the medical staff provided. Taeho walked through the hallways normally. Other cadets stared at him as they struggled against the gravity. They clung to walls, they crawled on the floor, they gasped for breath, and Taeho just walked. Like it was nothing. Because for him, it was nothing. This was home. This was what his body was made for. Yuna found him standing by a window, looking out at the purple mountains. She stood beside him, moving easily in the heavy gravity. This feels good, she said. I did not realize how much I missed it. Me too, Taeho said. They stood in silence for a moment. Outside, a transport ship lifted off into the pale sky. Do you think they understand now? Yuna asked. What it means to be human? Taeho thought about the question. Maybe, he said, a little, but I do not think anyone can really understand unless they live it. Unless they grow up on a world that is trying to kill you every day. A world where you have to be strong just to survive. Yuna nodded. We are survivors, she said. That is what humans are. We survive. Taeho looked at his reflection in the window. He thought about Earth, his family's farm, the heavy bags of rice, the hard work that made him who he was. He thought about his squad mates. Boric, who had called him weak and now called him friend. Mirelle, who had mocked him and now respected him. Kess, who had been terrified and now looked at him with trust. He thought about Commander Relis, about the Academy, about the Galactic Union and all the different species trying to live together in peace. And he thought about the future. What would happen when more humans joined the Union, when the galaxy truly understood what Earth had created? He did not know the answer, but he knew one thing for certain. Humans would face whatever came next the same way they had faced everything else, with strength, with determination, with the will to survive, and with the wisdom to use their power wisely. For the first time since leaving Earth, he felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. The galaxy was just beginning to learn what humans were made of, and Kang Taeho would be there to show them.